All right. Welcome back to another update from me. This one, it's actually the 30th, but anyway, this one I wanted to do a bit of a reflection of 2023. And for me personally, this year has probably been one of the hardest and most challenging and also the most rewarding years of my life. And we'll get straight into it because it's going to take forever. But January comes around and I traveled to Singapore for my cousin's wedding, first and foremost. So I think I left here around the 11th of January. The wedding was on the 14th at the Fullerton Hotel. I got to see loads of family, friends, and cousins that I just haven't seen in years, in some cases, like half a decade, which was really cool. I also got to celebrate Chinese New Year in Singapore for the first time as an adult, which was for someone who was born in Singapore and obviously experienced it as a very young child to then experience it as an adult was almost like reconnecting with my culture, which was really nice and something that I've always wanted to do. So being able to go to a wedding, an international wedding, first of many, I'm sure that will happen. Getting to explore Singapore with family, I got to explore Singapore with my brother and his wife, and then or my sister-in-law, and then also celebrate Chinese New Year with a lot of extended family that I have in Singapore was really nice. And then at the end of the month, I traveled solo to Vietnam. February rolled around. I traveled at the end of January, explored Vietnam for a couple of days by myself, and then I joined a top deck tour, which was about 15 to 20 people on there, all Australians, which was really funny. And we explored all of Vietnam for about, I would say, about a week or 10 days. And we went from north to south. So we started at Hanoi, Ha Long Bay, Hoi An, Phan Rang, to Saigon, to Mekong Delta. And then we moved into Cambodia. We went into Phnom Penh. And then we went into Siem Reap, and then we finished in Siem Reap. From there, I traveled by myself to Thailand, which was really, really cool. And also later that month, I found out that I was a semi-finalist for the Young Achiever Award in Victoria. I've always wanted to do this travel, and I think coming out of COVID, I felt this renewed urgency to travel as much as possible while I could. I was also still growing my one-person business, and I didn't actually have a proper pipeline of work. So I essentially spent the first 2 months of the year just traveling throughout Southeast Asia, which was amazing. I don't regret it. But if I was going to go back, I probably would have focused a bit more on my pipeline, which will lead me into March, where I did find out I was a finalist for the Young Achiever Award. I was able to go to a Lord concert with my two best friends, Adele and Jess, at the Sydney Maya Music Bowl. I think I spelled Sydney wrong. Doesn't matter. And I also released 3 digital products that all flopped as part of my business. And I started a weekly newsletter that burnt me out. So March was by far one of the hardest months of the year. And I came back and I didn't realize how big of a tax liability I had. The economy across the world and across Australia wasn't doing too well. So I actually came back to like a massive tax liability and zero pipeline of work. I essentially had no clients, and the proposals that I sent out were either delayed, didn't move ahead, or unsuccessful, or people just ghosted me, which I thought was just really rude in some ways. Yeah, like not even having the decency just to say, "Hey, look, we're not going ahead with this." It takes about 10 minutes to let me know, and they made us do that proposal over December, January, which was, I don't know. Say what you will, but that really annoyed me. And it kind of just taught me that I need to actually re-pivot my model, which we'll come to later. And that led me into April, which was, if I thought March was bad, April was like 10 times worse. I realized that my business was failing. I think I had low to no income in April, which was pretty worrying. And at the same time, when my business was failing, I knew that I had the ceremony for the Victorian Young Achiever Awards, and I just remember feeling like such a massive imposter being up on the stage, receiving a finalist award, and just knowing that in the back of my head that like my business was actually failing and this was not going very well for me. So that was pretty tough to take, and honestly, it was one of the hardest months of my life. I severely burnt myself out. I had no energy. The negative self-talk was at an all-time high. The girl that I was dating at the time probably copped the worst of it. I was stressed out most days, wasn't myself. My confidence was absolutely shot. And I just honestly felt like giving up. And that was the point where I was like, I think I might just give all of this up and just move on. And that was really, really tough for me. Come May, it's my birthday month. So I turned 28 years old. This was a crazy month. So I turned 28 years old. I got my house that I was been building a week after. So my birthday is mid-May. And then I got the house like a week or so after that I've been building for the better part of 12 months. A lot of stress around the delay of that house. I was supposed to get it in February and then I didn't end up getting it till May. I also started a new contract with a new client, which became pretty significant. So May was when I actually pivoted my offer in my one-person business. Instead of going for tier one construction companies, I actually looked at who needed my services more, and it was actually construction SMEs and consultancies who worked with construction SMEs. So it's essentially the same customer avatar, but just different parts of the ecosystem. And once I started doing that, I started to get more clients. So I actually signed 2 clients that month, and it was fabulous. I started recovering and actually making an income again. Later that month, I actually also won the Faculty of Arts at my university, so the University of Melbourne. I won the Faculty of Arts Rising Star Award, which was fantastic. That was an incredible achievement, and I was feeling a lot better about myself because I'd managed to turn things around with my business and still survive. And I think a big learning coming out of that was just like, whenever you think your back is against the wall and things aren't going well, you've always got options. It was, yeah, you've always got options. Yes, you might have to do things that you don't want to do, but you've always got options. It might not be optimal options, but there are options. At this point in time, I actually signed up for Uber Eats delivery just in case that the money didn't come through and I still needed to support myself. I didn't end up ever delivering anything. I'm still actually registered for it, so I still could. But that was a moment in time where I'm like, when your back is against the wall, you got two options: is move away from that wall or destroy that wall completely. And I gave myself options to do that. I also started my email newsletter, which was the Living a Limitless Life newsletter. I think I imported about 450 subscribers, and now it's sitting at like 2.2K, which is pretty amazing. In less than 7 months, or about 7 months, I've been able to grow it by like 6 times. So that's pretty cool. Really happy with that amount of growth. And this is all sparked by me actually joining a Storyteller Sprints community in Australia. So it's just a bunch of local creators who are doing really cool things. And yeah, just was probably one of the best investments that I ever made. Got access to a coach and a community, and it just worked really well. I actually also launched my first ever lead magnet. So you might have heard that I launched digital products. They weren't really lead magnets and they didn't really work very well. But I took the lessons that I learned from that and actually then made a lead magnet from a Medium article that did really well. So instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I just took content that I already had, that was already mine, was validated by the market from data, from interactions, from engagement. And I just turned that into a lead magnet, just created a front page, back page, did it over a weekend. I think I turned it around like 24 to 48 hours, and then I just released it. And that's been like the major impetus for my growth on my newsletter, because that lead magnet hosted on Gumroad was then attached to my ConvertKit, and I was able to, I think, get about 850 something downloads from my lead magnet, which correlated to my email newsletter growth. So yeah, it was a pretty amazing month. I really did turn it around, thankfully, in time. Come to June, so I've got the house at this point, and I'm doing renovations of the house every weekend. So you can imagine that I'm still living in my old house renting. I've got this new house that is just sitting empty at the moment, and it's not looking great because people have been known to steal things, and I had all the appliances in there already. So I was in there every weekend and every day after work, just doing things around the house, putting up blinds, cleaning. What else was I doing? Painting some things. Yeah, just doing little bits and pieces, letting the tradies in. And it's at this time in Australia, what made this process so scary was that almost every second week there was a builder going bankrupt. So it was like, will my builder go bankrupt? Thankfully they didn't, and they're still doing really well. But yeah, every weekend was like basically just renovations and slowly moving into the house, which was great. I felt good. And I also became an uncle at the end of June. So my oldest brother had a child. I became an uncle. He's very cute. But that was another new identity and another big change that I've had in 2023. Come July, I moved into the new house on the 9th, roughly. So I've been in about it for a bit more than 7 months, roughly. July, no, 5 months actually. So it'll be 6 months next year. And then I also decided that I was still going to go to Europe. So for a long time, I actually didn't know if I would make it to Europe, which was pretty worrying. But I did, which was great. And I also had my highest income month on Medium. So I had about 3,000 Australian dollars. And then I also started investing in a business coach to be able to just keep things moving and keep things going. And that was probably one of the best investments that I've ever made. I feel like I really started to hit my stride in July. I was publishing consistently, writing a lot. Um, I've recovered the business more or less. Still was looking pretty tentative, but was looking a lot better. At this point, it's like deep into Melbourne's winter, so yeah, just really adjusting really well. I think July is where I kind of hit my stride for many things.